You ever catch someone stealing and then they try to play it cool like nothing happened? Now imagine that person is your boss, and they're not just stealing meat for dinner, but donations meant to save a child's life. Yeah, that's the kind of evil I was dealing with. But don't worry, by the end of this story, both my corrupt managers were jobless, exposed, and publicly humiliated. Here's how I did it. If you've ever fantasized about sweet, cold, calculated revenge served with receipts and camera footage, this story's for you. Tap subscribe, like the video, and tell me in the comments the pettiest or most powerful revenge you've ever witnessed. Let's dive in. For years, I was grinding myself into the ground. Third-level manager at a small grocery chain in a part of town where the sun doesn't shine and neither do people's morals. 50-plus hours a week, no overtime, just salary, just stress. And to top it off, I was in college, dragging myself through night classes and barely staying awake during lectures. We had 3 managers at this circus. Dylan was the store manager, a slick-talking guy with a smirk that never left his face, unless he was pocketing something. I couldn't prove it at the time, but I knew in my gut he was a thief. Then there was Jim, the assistant store manager. Imagine someone with the IQ of a microwave burrito and the ego of a biker gang leader. Yeah, he had a motorcycle. And that was his entire personality. And then there was me, the youngest, the most overworked, and thanks to Dylan's scheduling style, the only manager pulling the night shift 6 days a week. Every night, I'd face the lunatics that crawled out after dark. Junkies trying to return half-eaten rotisserie chickens, Karen-level confrontations over expired coupons, all while Jim sat on his lumpy ass all day, barking orders at our team and doing nothing himself. The staff hated him. Every time I came in after class, I'd hear the same complaints. Jim yelled at me again while eating donuts. Jim told me to mop, then watched me do it while playing on his phone. I'd listen, laugh with them to ease the tension, and power through another soul-crushing shift. But one night, something changed. Jim and I were both scheduled to work late on some store project. Moving displays, rearranging inventory, whatever. As we wrapped up, I headed to the back with my cash drawer to count it out when Jim stopped me. He said, "Hold up, I need to grab some meat for dinner." Cool, whatever, I waited. He came back with a 5-pound pack of beef, but something about it looked off. The label was legit, but not from our store's usual selection. And the price? Just $3. For 5 pounds of beef? No way. I'd run the registers long enough to smell a scam, but I said nothing. I rang him up, smiled, wished him a good night. Then, the moment he walked off, I reprinted his receipt and stuffed it in my pocket. Next morning, I opened the store and made a beeline to the butcher room. There it was, the original wrapper of that same beef pack, buried in the trash. And the pricing machine? Still had that fake label selected with a manually lowered price per pound setting. He had changed the label, swapped the tags, committed theft, plain and simple. I pulled one of those bogus stickers, stashed it. Then I hit the DVR. I tracked the footage. Jim pulling the meat off the shelf, Jim ducking into the back, Jim walking out and coming to my register. Every move captured in time-stamped glory. When Dylan, our store manager, came in later that day, I didn't waste time. I laid it all out, receipt, wrapper, footage, pricing trickery. Dylan's expression changed from whatever to uh-oh real fast. He called Rocky, our district manager. The next day, Jim came in for a little closed-door chat. He left unemployed. No benefits. No severance. No more bike strutting around our store like a budget action hero. And me? I got promoted to assistant manager. Score 1 for justice. The stolen donations, approximately 450 words. Months passed, things settled down. Then a letter arrived from St. Jude Children's Hospital. They were running a fundraiser, 25-cent donations at checkout to help fight childhood leukemia. I was all in. I set up little cardboard stands at each register and had our cashiers ask every customer if they wanted to donate. It wasn't much, just a quarter at a time. But over the course of the campaign,
We raised $250. $250 from hardworking folks who just wanted to help a kid in need. Now, St. Jude's instructions were simple. Send the money via Western Union or mail. The Western Union was down the road, so I handed the cash to Dylan and asked him to take care of it. He agreed. When he got back, I asked, "Hey, got a receipt from Western Union?" He shrugged. "Nah, they didn't give me one." I didn't buy it. Something twisted in my gut. A few weeks later, a letter came back from St. Jude. It was a thank you note
For our generous $50 donation. $50. He stole $200 meant for kids with cancer. I was absolutely livid, but I had no proof. He was smart enough to avoid a paper trail, so I swallowed the rage and I waited. The final strike, catching Dylan, approximate 650 words. Roughly a year later, fate handed me the perfect setup. Dylan and I were working late one night. I'd finished mopping the floors and realized I hadn't seen him for a while. Figured he was in the back, restocking milk or something. I heard the hum of the dairy cooler and the door creak. I peeked in. There he was, crouched over a shopping cart packed with groceries, stuffing everything into bags. When he saw me, he jolted upright. Started rambling about some random store task, nervous energy, sweaty face, twitchy hands, classic guilty behavior. I acted cool. "All right, I'm locking up. You good?" He nodded, voice shaky. Next morning, I came in and Dylan was leaving. I went straight to the dairy cooler. The cart? Gone. So I pulled the security footage again. Dylan had arrived an hour early, parked his truck at the front door, which he never did. He rolled a cart from the cooler, loaded it into his truck, then came back and opened the store like nothing happened. Now here's the tricky part. He had bagged everything. So technically, unless I spent hours watching him grab each item, there was no way to know what he took, no solid proof except one thing. In the footage, I saw one oversized pack of paper towels sticking out of a bag. It was a brand we couldn't sell to save our lives, overpriced, dusty. No one had bought a single pack in weeks. I checked the display, one missing. I ran a report on our system, searched every transaction for the past week for that barcode. 0 results. Boom. No sale equals stolen item. I printed that report, matched the footage timestamp. Now came the cherry on top. Our area manager, Rod, showed up that same day. I pulled him aside, showed him the footage, the report, explained the pattern, the history, hell, even the St. Jude situation. Rod wasn't smiling. Later that week, Dylan got the same treatment as Jim. Fired with cause, no benefits, no mercy. I didn't even need to say I told you so. The evidence screamed it for me. Sometimes justice doesn't come quickly. It takes patience, observation, and a whole lot of quiet planning. But when it lands hard. And when it's for something like stealing from a children's hospital, that's not just revenge. That's redemption. If you've ever had a toxic boss or witnessed workplace theft, drop your story in the comments. Smash that like button if you felt the sweet hit of justice from this one. And hit subscribe. We've got more wild, true revenge stories coming your way. Until next time, stay sharp, stay patient, and never let scumbags get the last word.